Hello, my name is Josh.
Hello, my name's Tegan.
Hello, my name's Milena.
Hi, my name's Poppy.
My name is Simon Grant-Jones and I'm the blacksmith here in Sutton Poyntz. So we're standing in my workshop here at Sutton Poyntz. I work from home and I'm the first blacksmith in the village since the 1930s, although we've got evidence that there was a blacksmith here probably from the 11th or 12th century onwards. So we're standing in my forge here in my workshop, which is in the garden of my house. These cottages have been here since the 1890s, and we've got evidence that there was actually a blacksmith living in the cottage that I'm living in now. I specialise in hand making tools for specialist craftspeople, and around my workshop here you can see some examples of the sort of things that I make. All around us we've got tools. Anybody from the Middle Ages could come into this workshop and they could use these tools because they would recognise them. The biggest innovation that we've got as modern day blacksmiths is electricity. They wouldn't have had electricity probably up until, when are we looking at? The early 1900s. So everything was done by hand. They had no power hammers. They had steam hammers in like the 1800s, but a small shop like this wouldn't have had anything as fantastic as that. So everything was done by hand. The bellows would have been pumped by hand, and they were like leather bellows that gave a bit of a air blast to the fire and made it burn hotter. And the sort of heat that you could produce, you can easily melt steel, or wrought iron as it would have been in those days.
Did you make this whole building yourself? Because it looks kind of handmade.
I did actually build the workshop myself. Yeah. When I first moved in here, like 23 years ago, there was a small workshop here, but I expanded on it because I knew exactly what I wanted. Nothing too big, nothing that would annoy the neighbours, something where I could work from and make a living.
What inspired you to be a blacksmith?
When I went to a county show when I was young, probably only 4 or 5, I saw somebody working and demonstrating as a blacksmith, and from then on I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I went to a grammar school in Weymouth, and they didn't really encourage people to do manual jobs when they left school. Coming from a grammar school, they encouraged us to push ourselves a little bit more. And when I said I wanted to be a blacksmith, the careers advisor, she said to me, there's no such thing, you'll have to be an engineer instead. So I became an engineer. And I still wanted to become a blacksmith. I was made redundant 3 or 4 times, and the 4th time I thought enough is enough, there must be some training. Luckily I found some training through a government agency. I did 4 years of training as a blacksmith. I was 32 when I started my training, and I'm 53 now, so I haven't been doing it that long compared to lots of other smiths who have done it from school. So I was an engineer first, and then I became a blacksmith. I wish I'd have done it the other way round. I should have been a blacksmith right from the beginning.
Does the South Dorset Ridgeway give you inspiration for your work?
Well, the South Dorset Ridgeway, it's an ancient place, and there would have been blacksmiths here up and down the Ridgeway in all the small villages. We've got evidence in our village of medieval blacksmiths and even before that. And in the Bronze Age they used bronze, and then they came into the Iron Age where they started to use iron. So the first smiths really used bronze, which is an alloy of copper and tin, which was the elements that they readily found available sort of here in the West Country, certainly down in Devon and Cornwall. From an agricultural point of view, the blacksmith was much needed for his tools and his implements, so the fortunes of a village could be lost or found on the strength of how good your blacksmith was.
What are the types of things you make for your clients?
The types of things that I make for my clients, in this day and age, they do differ a little bit from the traditional, what we call traditional blacksmithing. In the old days, it would have been everyday items that people needed to do their jobs and for their everyday things like cooking utensils, cooking instruments in the kitchen, such as toasting forks, pokers for the fire, knives, all sorts of everyday items like that. In this day and age, I do try to keep as traditional as possible, and my specialist area is to make tools for people who are now termed as specialist craftspeople, such as thatchers, stonemasons, green woodworkers, all sorts of people. They can't buy their tools anymore. They have to come to somebody like me to buy their tools.
How important is it to keep the tradition alive?
With anything really, it is important to recognise tradition, because this is really where we all came from. And if it wasn't for all those smiths in all those bygone centuries and eras who discovered how to make all these tools and who experimented in how to make these things, we probably wouldn't be where we are now today. I always feel that we should try to keep things as traditional as possible, but also maybe introduce modern methods. So in 100 years' time, our methods will become traditional, although they're contemporary or modernistic to what we do today.